They talked a lot about the rising of mental health, especially in young teenage girls, especially within millennials and Gen Z. They talked about the rise in plastic surgery in young girls because of the problem with self-image. They talked about a lot of the ways that they keep people addicted to online and social media platforms, how they keep people like on there, keeping them from clicking off, right? And they call it persuasive technology and positive intermittent reinforcement, right? It's kind of like when you get like someone retweets you or something like that, or someone likes your thing and you get like a ding, you get like a bell, like that actually sends positive reinforcement to your brain. It pushes the dopamine out and stuff like that. So it's basically like a drug, like you're constantly chasing that dopamine hit, you're constantly chasing that positive affirmation, and at the end of the day, without it, you feel empty, you feel depressed, you feel lonely, because it's like a drug. Unless you're on that drug, you feel sick, you get dope sick, right? So people get sick from social media, or it really fucks up with their mental health issues unless they're constantly getting that positive affirmation. Therefore, you have a generation of people that will do anything to keep getting that positive affirmation because they're addicted to it.
We get rewarded by hearts, likes, thumbs up, and we conflate that with value, and we conflate it with truth.
There was even little things that I didn't know about. You know how like when you send a message to someone and it sort of shows that like those dots in progress that tell you the other person is typing? That was literally designed to keep you from clicking off the app, which is crazy because it works. Like sometimes if the person is typing too long, I will just click off. But honestly, if I'm texting someone and I see that they start to message me right back, then I just stay on the apps because I'm waiting for their message. So that was literally designed. Like they were like saying basically everything about social media, everything about Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and every social media platform, including Google, is designed to keep you on there as long as possible. They said that the way these social media platforms are so powerful to keep you engaged, to keep you addicted, to keep you outraged, and program you basically, is that even the people that work in it, the people that are in this documentary, the CEOs, the startups, the investors, the people that are in charge, the heads, they too fell into this addiction problem, and they too had to learn how to get off of online, and they too fell into these rabbit holes of polarizing extremes, even though they know how it works. But they said it's so powerful that even if you know, it's still hard to resist. What social media does is basically they take that natural evolution, natural instinct in us to be a part of a tribe or a community. Because back in the day, if you weren't a part of a tribe and a community, you wouldn't survive. Like your survival depended on being accepted into a tribe and a community. You had to care about what that community thought about you, right? They tap into that natural instinct of us, but this is a very like more dangerous, more unhealthy way, because I've said it on this video before, I do not like tribes. I like community. Community is not the same as tribes. For me, community, you can be an individual within a community and be accepted into the community. Of course, you have to have some sort of similarities to be there, but in a tribe, it's almost like if you do not adopt the exact same ideology, you're booted out of the community, and it become very unhealthy for people, right? And they even talked about this in the documentary, that social media creates tribes, and that's bad for society. And that is for the left and for the right. I know I have a lot of conservatives on here, and this is why I always say I don't label myself. I'm not a conservative and I'm not a liberal, because they just become cultish tribes. They do talk about the giant spike in mental health, especially in young girls and teens. I talked about this a little bit earlier, but they really have like a whole section where they talk about this. They said in older teens, there have been a 62% hike in mental health and idealization. And in preteens, there has been a 109% spike in mental health in preteens. That is 11 and 12-year-olds. For the first time, you see 11-year-olds dealing with really bad depression and anxiety and image issues. Almost like a form of dysphoria. This is why it's very frustrating to me, again, when people ring the alarms of the social contagion when it comes to all this identity stuff and all this trans stuff, that it feels contagious. It feels like there's been a rapid growth, and it doesn't really make sense unless there's something wrong going on. But anytime anybody like sound the alarm about this, we're just transphobic or boomers or whatever. but social contagion is a real thing. They talked about how Gen Z is literally the first generation to have full-blown access and complete lives on social media by middle school. They talked about, because of social media and sort of creating these sort of really extreme polarizing echo chambers, that this generation, Gen Z, and probably, the younger half of millennials, are more fragile. They're less likely to take risk. They have less romantic and sexual relationships. We've talked about this, that the data shows that boys and girls in my generation, the younger half, and Gen Z are having less relationships and less sex in general. It's not just the boys, because a lot of people only focus on the guys, but the girls are doing it too. They're more depressed, they have more anxiety, and they have more mental health issues.
The whole generation is more anxious, more depressed.
And going back to the less likely to take risk, there's actually the Gen Z in this population has the least amount of driver's licenses. When they're able to have the driver's license, they're just not getting the driver's licenses because they're too fragile and too scared. That because of the social media and because of these echo chambers and these safe spaces online, that social media has just acted as a pacifier. That they're not able to deal with their own emotions, their own anxiety, their own mental health issues, their own fear, because social media has been a thing that they run to as their drug to sort of numb those feelings instead of dealing with them. Like, social media has basically taken away their ability to deal with loneliness, boredom, fear, and anxiety. Remember, like, if you're bored when you're a little kid, like in my generation or the older half of my generation, you just went outside and played. Here, you go on social media. Some of the pushback that these whistleblowers or the people who were ringing the alarms about the dangers of where they felt social media was going or technology was going, some of the pushback they got was that this medium, this has always existed when it comes to newspapers or the mainstream news, TV, movies, radio. There's always been this sort of implicit bias in these mediums, and it's always pushed society to agree with one set of values or another. But the people are saying that social media and in search engines like Google is a completely different monster. Another thing that was said in a documentary that I very much agree with so much is that technology is evolving faster than we are. That technology is evolving faster than our minds, our consciousness, our psyche, our mental health is evolving faster than we are. We aren't able to keep up, and that's why you see such an epidemic when it comes to mental health issues. For example, the reason why you get sad at movies when your favorite character dies, or where you feel such a relief of justice when the villain gets his just due, like in Game of Thrones when King Joffrey, the horrible king, died and everybody cheered, right? Or when the Battle of the Bastards in Jon Snow was saved, or the red wedding. If you can't tell, I'm a Game of Thrones fan. When the red wedding happened, you felt true emotions, right? Or when a series ends, like when a Game of Thrones ends, or whatever your favorite series is, Breaking Bad, 6 Feet Under, whatever, you feel like a sense of loss almost. And you know that is not real. You know it's all fake. You know it's all acting. But our brains and our psyche and our consciousness hasn't evolved fast enough to actually be able to decipher the difference. That's why you actually feel real emotions, because our brains still think it's real what we're watching, because we just haven't, our development, our evolution hasn't caught up with technology. And it's not slowing down. From what they're saying, it's going to keep on this sort of speed of keep evolving, keep developing, and it's just going to affect society in a more negative way.